So thank you all for joining us for the overview of the graduate school application process workshop. Joining us today is Lori Filippo, Assistant Director of Recruitment. Lori will be teaching us ways to prepare for graduate school, how to present organized and complete information when applying to graduate school, the application process, financial support and funding, and more. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Lori to get us started.
All right, thank you so much. Hi everyone. Again, my name is Lori Filippo. So I am the Assistant Director of Grad Recruitment. So I'm sure if I have not already worked with you, I'm sure we'll be working close together in the near future when you start putting in those applications for grad school. So for today, what I really want to go over, exactly what the Academy was talking about is a little bit more about that application process. What are some of those requirements that are needed? How do we do those specific requirements, and a little bit more? So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we like to touch on is how to choose a program. So at UNLV, if you may not be too familiar more so with the grad side at UNLV. We do have over 190 degree programs, and we have over 40 professional and certificate programs that we have. So a little mix of everything: business, hospitality, fine arts, a little bit of everything for everyone. So with 190 programs, usually the first question we're always asked is, well, how do I know what program I need for my career? Or what should I even study? Or here's what I got my bachelor's in. Do I need to go get my grad degree in that? So these are all wonderful questions. And what we tell students to do first is to start with the outcome. What is that career that you want to go into? What makes you happy? And then really diving deeper into, okay, now we know the career. What is the degree that you need for that career? For example, when I was going for my master's degree, I knew I wanted to stay in higher education. So I thought, okay, yep, makes sense. I need my master's in higher ed. But after I spoke to the grad side and spoke to my mentors, they actually said, nope, you don't need that. You already know higher education. So instead, I went and got my degree in public administration. They thought it was more important for me to really know more of the government, the policy side to everything, and then be able to use that to then keep moving up in higher education and get to where I want to be. So again, think of the outcome. Is the degree that you are looking at, is that really needed for the career that you want to go into? Also think beyond your bachelor's degree. Just because you received your bachelor's in one field doesn't mean you have to keep going with that with your master's or your PhD. Sometimes students go get their undergrad and then they realize, you know what, this is really not what I want to do career-wise. For example, we have a lot of students that maybe go into business or education. And then as soon as they go for their master's, they realize, you know what, I'm really into nursing. I do not want to do anything with the business or that side of it. And they can do that. Just because they receive their bachelor's in one field, now those students can go into something else for their grad school. It's also good to reach out to those that are in the field. Maybe you're working in the field right now. So if you have, maybe you're doing internships or a mentor, boss, supervisor, someone that's in the field already that you can talk to and see what they say. What degree did they need or go get in order to get into that career that they're in right now? So definitely reaching out to those different fields and talking to the experts in those fields. And of course, you can always reach out to the recruitment team. We have our email and our phone number there. So please reach out. We'll help you any way that we can to make sure that what you're going for is what you need to go into your career. Just some other tips when you're selecting a program. Again, 190 programs, we get it. It's a lot of programs, a lot of information to look at, but you want to start narrowing it down. We don't want you to spend too much time looking at it. And that's why we really want you to use those resources, contacting us, contacting the experts, reaching out to the graduate coordinators. We have a grad coordinator for every single one of our grad programs that you are more than welcome to reach out to. And they'll let you know exactly, one, what are they looking for when you apply to their program? And two, is the program even right for the career that you want to go into? So definitely utilize those graduate coordinators. But it's also good to start looking at it early because of deadlines. With grad school, um, each of our programs have a specific deadline on when you have to get your application and materials in. Um, so some programs, they may only meet once a year. This is very common with the PhD and professional schools. Some programs may admit fall and spring. Other ones might do it all year long. So fall, spring, and summer. So really important, once you know what program you want to go into, make sure you're checking out your deadline. We do say deadlines are pretty non-negotiable. I will say though, we understand it. Things come up, things happen. Maybe you apply for, let's say, the spring semester, and it just doesn't work out to where you can actually start your program in the spring. The other side, the other important thing is to make sure you're staying in contact with us. If that was to happen to where you started an application or maybe even got accepted into your program for spring or fall, but you can't attend that term, make sure you let us know because we may be able to go ahead and defer your application to start in a future term. All right, so how to apply to be a grad rebel? So the important thing to know with grad school is that your application is going to be reviewed holistically. So when you apply, you're applying once, but it's basically going to be reviewed twice. So um, when you apply, you'll submit all of your requirements for that specific program into one application. After you submit and pay your application, it's going to be reviewed first by the admissions team. And then once they are done, they'll get reviewed by the department. And the department is going to be reviewing all of those specific requirements that are needed. And they are actually the ones who make that overall admissions decision. So if you're concerned about maybe your GPA or maybe if there's a GMAT or a GRE required for your program and you're concerned about how that may affect your application, keep in mind that every single requirement is only one part of your application. Everything is going to be reviewed and taken into consideration when the department makes that overall decision. All right, so once you do know what program you want to apply for, you checked out our deadline page, you'll go ahead and submit your application in the Grad Rebel Gateway. So this is going to be your main hub from when you start the application all the way up until really when you graduate. You may be doing things within this portal. So make sure when you make your account, make it a username and password that you'll remember, you'll be able to sign into, get familiar with this account, because again, you may be doing things within this portal throughout the whole time. So to start out with though, you'll go ahead and select what program of interest you want to pursue. Once you select the program of interest, a checklist will be created for you with all the requirements needed for that particular program. This is where you'll be able to upload all of those requirements. So anything with your transcript, statement of intent, letters of recommendation, that's all going to be uploaded into this portal. The application is $95 for international students or $60 for domestic students. And again, we have here about the deadline. Just don't forget to check out what the deadline is for your program. Okay, so as I mentioned, your application is going to be reviewed twice. So once you submit all of your documents and your application, it's first going to be reviewed by the admissions team. So what they are going to want to see is that you've earned at least a bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited institution or an approved international equivalent. For your bachelor's degree, they want to see that you've earned at least a 2.75 overall GPA. If you fall below the 2.75, they're going to look at the last 60 credits, and they want to see that you have at least a 3.0 for the last 60 credits. Now, if you fall below the 2.75 overall and the 3.0, still submit your application. Do not feel discouraged. Again, your application is being reviewed holistically. The department can still decide to admit you provisionally, even if you fall below these 2 GPA requirements. Now, you also need to submit transcripts from each post-secondary institution that you attended. If you attended UNLV, we more than likely have those transcripts. And of course, if you're completing your degree at UNLV, your bachelor's, still mention that you went to UNLV. That just lets us know that we do need to pull that UNLV transcript for you. Now, um, if maybe you went somewhere else or you did not give us anything, I do just want to mention if you attended any institution outside of the US, um, keep in mind we need a copy of your transcript both in the original language and in English translation, if it's not already in English. If you are an international student, you may also need to show proof of English proficiency. This would be done through like your IELTS, PTE, Duolingo, and we'll touch on this a little bit later. But of course, if you graduated from an institution where English is the primary language of instruction, you can use that degree in place of your English proficiency. So by graduating from UNLV, you just use that degree in place of the English test. Okay, once we complete our evaluation, your application will now be reviewed by the department. So it really depends, again, on the program that you're pursuing and what they specifically require. So this could mean a personal statement, letters of recommendation, a GMAT, GRE test. They might have an interview process, portfolio. It really, again, depends on the program. But we do have these listed in our catalog. We have degree pages for every single one of our programs. Or you can always reach out to us. We'll let you know exactly what's required, when you have to get everything in by, or again, contacting the coordinator. If you have any specific questions, maybe you're required to submit a writing sample, contact the coordinator. They will let you know exactly what they're looking for because they are the ones that will be reviewing these documents. Okay, again with the deadlines, I'm telling you, we cannot stress it enough about these deadlines. It's really important too, because if you have a GRE or a GMAT, if you have to do letters of recommendation, a statement of intent, you want to give yourself plenty of time to get all these documents done, completed, looking the way that you want it to, and then go ahead and submit the best application you can. Okay, so what I'm going to go over now is really some of those specific requirements that may be needed for the program that you're going into. Now, keep in mind, for your program of interest, you may not have to submit these documents. But again, these are the most common ones that we do see a lot of our programs asking for. So the first one is the personal statement. So what is a personal statement? Now on your application, it might say that you want to do a personal statement or a statement of intent. These are pretty interchangeable. Really, often more than not, it's pretty common what both of them are asking for. But again, you may be asked in some form or another to be doing one of these. So what is being asked when you do have to do a statement of intent is it's typically a 1 to 2 page, treated like a double space. These are really where it's your opportunity to tell the committee why you would be a good applicant. Why do you want to go into this program? How is it going to help you, with your overall career goals? So it's your chance again to talk to the committee. So when you are writing it, do the 1 to 2 page double space. Really treat it like one of your college papers that you would have done. Write it to a specific audience. Sometimes when you're looking at what the department wants, they might tell you who to address it to. Or kind of like what we gave as an example, write it to say program graduate admissions committee. Or again, contact the coordinator, ask them, hey, when I'm doing my statement, is there anyone specific you want me to address it to? Would you like me to address it to you? See what they say. They're the ones who are going to be reviewing this document. Make sure you're using multiple paragraphs. Format it again like an essay that you would have done, unless otherwise noted by the department. Make sure you're having a professional tone. And then these are just some things that we've put. So if you are applying for a graduate degree, you may want to talk more about your research interests. Maybe there's a faculty member that you really want to work with, or their research kind of aligns with what you're wanting to do. And again, where will this take you in the future? If you're going professional school, maybe you're going for med school, dental, law school. Talk about your qualifications. Maybe you're interning right now. Maybe you've already worked in the field. Maybe this is, how is this going to help you further those career goals? And then maybe also what can you bring to the program? So some of our programs, they make it a little bit easy. They try to give you a prompt on what they want you to write about for the personal statement. So this is an example for our MBA program. So you can see here, we highlight it in red, specifically what they're asking the students to write about. So they, first and foremost, they tell you they want it to be 1 to 2 pages, 12 font size. And then they say they want you to address how the MBA will assist you in your professional and career goals. They want you to include a description of leadership or manageable attributes you will bring to the program. So based off of that, we then gave some questions that you may want to ask yourself when you're writing that personal statement. So again, how will this help you with your overall career goals? Talking about those leadership attributes you can bring. Talk about your past work, the academics experiences, the goals after you complete this program. The nice thing is that if you are already a UNLV student, you can utilize the Writing Center, and I highly recommend to do so. You definitely want to be able to have someone, look over what you're writing, check, and see, just have another pair of eyes on it, really. See if maybe they have any ideas of what you should be including in your statement of intent. So one piece of advice, if you are currently at UNLV, is to go utilize the Writing Center when writing your statement of intents. Just some more do's and don'ts. Make sure you are concrete, give examples. Again, write multiple drafts, have other people review it, have another set of eyes on it. Be honest when you are writing it. Don't write your life story in it. Make sure you are not rewriting your resume. This is always something students do too, because your resume, why you do not want to rewrite it is a lot of times it's already required. So you may already have to submit your resume. So you don't want to also have your statement be your resume. And of course, don't make stuff up on it. Okay. The other common factor is the letters of recommendation. So for your letters of recommendation, just opposite of the statement of intent, they are now allowing others to speak about your academic and professional achievements. Typically, programs, they want 2 to 3 letters. It really just, again, depends on the program. But there are a lot of programs that really do look at these letters, take them very seriously. Some of them will not even start your review process until they get these letters of recommendation submitted. So once once you go ahead and start doing your application, you may be wondering, well, who should I even use as a recommender? So if you're going for a graduate program, you may want to think more on research, so maybe more academic references. So a lot of your professors, your current professors, if you're going for an education in math or a master's in education, you might want to think of some of those professors that taught those similar classes to be those references for you. If you're going to professional schools, you may want to do more if you're working right now, maybe those internships. You could probably use professors as well. But again, for this, it's really important, I would say, to contact the graduate coordinators, especially if you're having a hard time thinking of what recommenders to use. Contact them. They'll let you know exactly what they want. And sometimes they do tell you. They'll say, we want 1 academic, we want 1 professional. But of course, no family members, no friends. We know they write great recommendation letters, but we just cannot use them. So when you're asking for the letters of recommendation, we strongly recommend to reach out by email. That's probably the best way to contact your recommenders. Ask if they would be willing to write a letter for you. And then just kind of let them know what's going on. Do, of course, professional greeting. If you need to, reintroduce yourself. Maybe you had a class with them your sophomore or junior year, maybe even your freshman year for your bachelor's. So reintroduce yourself. See if maybe you can meet with them in person or via Zoom or whatever, would work best for both of you. Let them know what you're looking at doing. Say, hey, you know what? I'm really looking to further my education and go into this, career field. I'm looking to get my master's or PhD or professional program in this, field. Let them know what you're looking at doing. And then, of course, make sure you tell them what your deadline is for your program. That way, they have plenty of time to go ahead and make the best letter they can for your application and get everything submitted on time. Okay, so just some tips on how to get excellent letters of recommendation. If you started your statement of intent, so that 1 to 2 page paper that we had to write, that where you say why you want to go into this program, send that over to them. That's kind of saying like, hey, here's why I want to do this. Here's how it's going to help me out long term. Here's my passion for this. Maybe send that to them. Um, let's see. If maybe it's been a while since you've taken their class, remind them about a project. Maybe they were your supervisor, maybe they were your mentor. Remind them of what you did in the class. What else? Again, don't forget to mention the deadline. And another little tip, if you are possibly looking to be a graduate assistant while in grad school, let them know that. Um, Say, hey, I'm not just looking to get my master's degree. I would also love to be a teaching assistant or a research assistant. I think this could give me the great qualifications that I need and help me even more in the career field. But let them know that you're looking to be a GA. That might also help. So when the department is reading those letters of recommendation, they'll see, hey, you know what? This student wouldn't be just great for the program. Maybe we should consider them for a GA as well. Okay. So in the application, this is kind of what you're going to see when you're going through it. Um, the recommendation letters have to come from the recommender. We cannot take them from the student. So in your application, you are going to see a recommendation section. And this is where you just need to list your recommender's first name, last name, email, and phone number. And then you'll also need to let us know if you're going to waive your right or not to view the letter. So of course, if you say yes, and then maybe a few months down the road, you're like, oh, I really wonder what Jane Doe said about me. Because you waived your right, unfortunately, we cannot send you the letter. If you say, no, I'm not going to waive my right, and later on you want to see Jane's letter, you would just email grad admissions and then they can send you a copy of it. Now, some students will say, well, what's better to do? Should I waive it? Should I not waive it? I always say, and if you don't mind not seeing it, lean maybe on the side of just waiving the recommendation letter. There have been situations where the recommender, they may not submit a letter unless you do waive it. So you may want to also chat with your recommender and see if they would prefer that you do waive the letter. Once you fill in all that information, you'll click that link that says send email to recommender. And then your recommender is going to receive an email right away with all the instructions. They'll receive a link and they'll be able to upload that letter of recommendation right to your application. Okay. So testing. So standardized tests, it is required for some of our programs. I will say though, more and more of our programs are either starting to do away with it or they are making it optional, or they are putting some waiver options on these exams. So it is becoming, I feel like, a little bit more lenient with the standardized tests in a lot of our programs. We are currently working on a PDF, hopefully to have completed by the end of this month, that will list every single one of our grad programs. And if a GRE or GMAT is required, if there's waiver options for the test, what scores you may need for the test if available. So we are currently working on that. And like I said, should hopefully have it completed by the end of this month. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to send it to you once it's ready. But it's also going to be listed on the degree pages and the catalog as well, is where you can find if a test is needed. But the common tests that are usually required is the graduate record examination, or the GRE, graduate management admission test, or the GMAT, and then your English proficiency test if you are an international applicant and may require that. So just to kind of briefly go over these tests, the GRE, there is two different types of the GRE. So you have your general test, which is usually the most common one because it really just goes over three different areas, your quantitative, verbal, and analytic. It can vary for the price. Um, they should still offer at-home testing, but you'll definitely want to check out their website, see what they say. But again, this is usually the most common one. And to compare it, we say to maybe look at it like your SAT or ACT, but it's for grad school. But GRE does offer subject tests as well. This would be more if you were like a PhD student or going for a professional program. So instead of a general test, the department may just say, take the chemistry GRE or take the psychology. These aren't offered as often as the general test. And of course, you can see the cost is a little bit less. But again, make sure you're checking to see exactly what your program may require you to take. The GMAT, now this is more for business schools. So if you're looking at the MBA, management information systems, there's other programs as well, but honestly, some of them will even say you can do the GMAT or the GRE. I know the MBA now will even say you can do the GMAT or GRE. So definitely look into it. There are some waiver options, I will say. I know MIS has waiver options. MBA has a few, not too many, but typically the GMAT is for business schools. The one nice thing is that the GMAT did get revamped a little bit. So as of March, the regular GMAT was discontinued. So now they call it the GMAT Focus. And I'm actually going to go on to the next slide because I want to show you kind of what the differences are and why students are liking it a little bit better. So if one thing, it's shorter. So it's now only a 2-hour test instead of 3 hours. So it has cut back a lot. There's now one combined score that they use. The other nice thing that a lot of students like is the essay has been completely removed from the GMAT. So because of this, now keep in mind, is a lot of the programs, if they want the GMAT, they're probably going to also require a statement of intent because there is no essay with this test. So they're going to look at your writing a different way. So just to keep in mind, again, more so why you want to take your time with that statement as well. Let's see, this one is available now. And then of course, you'll see there with the verbal, quantitative, everything's just a little bit shorter, less questions. And if I'm not mistaken, now you also get to change your answers a few times, which is a lot of students really like that. So a definitely new and I feel like improved GMAT test. Okay, if you are an international applicant and you are required to take an English test, so first and foremost, if you're graduating from UNLV with your bachelor's degree, you do not need to take an English test. We will just go ahead and use your degree from UNLV in place of that test. Otherwise, the other things that we do accept are all the tests here. So like your TOEFL, Duolingo, ELS, and you'll see the minimum scores that we do require. Or of course, if you do complete your degree, your post-secondary degree from any institution where English is the primary language of instruction, we'll use that degree in place of this English test. And then the other thing I just want to note is that we do have many events going on. Honestly, we probably have about 2 or 3 events this whole, every single week this whole month and going on next month. We're constantly adding more. So please check out the events that we do offer. I really say, look at those department specific events. So if you're looking for the MBA, anything with fine arts, hospitality, we have those listed on our calendar. And those events are nice because you'll not only be hearing from the grad team, but you'll also hear from representatives for those programs, and they can go ahead and tell you exactly what they want to see within their application. I do want to mention too, we are going to have a grad fair on this Thursday. It'll be over at the Student Union on campus. So come check that out as well. We're going to have a lot of departments out there to talk about the programs, and that will be an opportunity for you to speak with them about what they offer. So keep looking back on our event page. We're constantly adding stuff to it. And then reach out. If you have any questions, anything you want to talk about with grad school, we have our email, phone number here. We're located at the Student Service Complex, Building B. We are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Email us, call us. If you want to set up an appointment, we can do walk-in, set up a time for you to come in. If you want to do Zoom, email, phone, whatever works best for you. We just want to make sure that you're all set with grad school. So thank you so much for attending. I know that was a ton of information, and I'll hand it back over to the Academy. And thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Lori. If you guys in the Zoom had any questions, um, now would be your chance before we went ahead and end the Zoom. Again, feel free to turn on your mic and ask the question or drop it in the chat. Brandon Pentecoff says, can you elaborate more on the GRE as opposed to the GMAT?
Sure. Hey, Brandon. Yeah, no, good question. So to be completely honest with you, I mean, I haven't taken either of those tests. Some of our programs, they'll either waive it, make it optional. But what I've heard from other students, even colleagues of mine that have taken both of them, it's kind of a preference for the student. I've heard that the GMAT, of course, is maybe more math side, where the GRE is going to be possibly more of your writing, more of, I want to say more like the analytical side of it. It really kind of depends. If you don't mind me asking what program you're going into, I do have representatives that have taken both of these exams. They can kind of tell you how they even grade. I know MBA, they have excellent representatives that talk about the program. Economics, yeah, I do have a representative for that one. If you can email me over at that our email, Grad Recruitment, I'll go ahead and get you my contacts for it, and then they can let you know exactly how the testing would work and what scores they're looking for.
All right, so Cameron Renierson, um, says all of my instructors in my major so far have been MS lecturers, not professors. Is it acceptable to get recommendations from them, even though they are not professors?
Yeah, hi Cameron, I would say that's fine. But the best thing to honestly do is reach out to the grad coordinator for the program you want to pursue. They would be the ones to review those letters of recommendation. I would say just to confirm and see what they say, but they should be fine with it. But if you need help finding your coordinator, email me at grad recruitment. We'll tell you who your contact is, and then I would just triple confirm with them that they're okay with that.
Awesome. Were there any other questions? And I didn't see if you saw Brandon's answer, or yeah, Brandon's answer to your question of like what program he was in.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
economics. Yep, yeah. So Brandon, if you can email me as well, I'm gonna get you a few contacts on for the GMAT and GRE. The nice thing is that all falls under Lee Business School, so I can get you a few contacts for that one.
Ooh, Hazel has a question. Is it less likely to be accepted into a PhD program right out of graduating from undergrad? I'm interested in clinical psych, but a lot of graduate students I've seen over the years, or I've seen have taken years after graduating before getting into one.
Oh, you're
All
fine.
good, Hazel.
No, that's a really good question. Hi, Hazel. So first and foremost, that's a really good point that you made, Hazel, about going into a PhD right after your undergrad. That is very common. We do have a few programs that do allow that. So for students that maybe wanted to go into their PhD right out of your undergrad, check out the PhD programs. Not all of them offer it, but some do. Um, Clinical psych, that is it's a great program. I will say it is probably one of, if not like the top, it's one of the most um, competitive programs that we do have is clinical psychology. Um, so typically with that program, why students might be taking a few years is because they do want to get some of the experience. It could also mean maybe they're concerned about their GPA. They want to get it as high as they can. Maybe they're looking to reduce some of their courses that they've completed. There could be multiple reasons why they're taking years after. But then we've seen also people that have graduated and then they go right into it. So that one is a very, like I said, it's a very competitive program. It's a very good program. But they do only admit probably about 10 students every year for that program. So for this one, I would say, Hazel, for sure, email us. Let us just chat with you. I would definitely want to get you in contact with the coordinator for this program and then have you two talk. That way you can maybe chat with the coordinator, let them know what your goals are, what you're looking at doing, what has your undergrad been like, and see what they say. Do they think you're ready to go ahead and start applying to your PhD in this program? Do they think you maybe need a little bit more experience? I would really want to get you two connected. Of course.
Awesome. All right. If there's no more questions, and I will keep checking the chat while I'm reading through this, but like if there's no more questions, we're gonna go ahead and start to wrap it up. Before ending today's session, though, I would like to just say, is this a new one? Yeah, this is new. So Drex says, in terms of the type of people you can ask for letters, wait, yeah, yeah. So in terms of the people you can ask for letters of recommendation, if you already work in a field that's related to your master's, would you be able to ask your supervisors or slash people you work under for a letter?
Yeah, of course. Yep. Definitely ask your mentors, supervisors. Now the only thing to consider is make sure you're looking at your program specifically on what they're requiring for your letters of recommendation. See if they're okay. If you have to submit 2 or 3 letters, are they okay with you submitting them all from your supervisors or coworkers, or do they also want a professional reference? And maybe even if they do require professional reference, maybe you say, well, I don't have a professional reference. I don't know anyone. Can I use another supervisor? Talk to the coordinator, let them know. They would be the ones to say yes or no. But of course, yes, you can definitely ask your supervisors, people you worked with. That would be fine. Um, Yeah, no, I would definitely say that would help with behavior health. Yeah, so talk with them, but just again, just make sure you don't have to just submit people that you've worked with. See if they also require a professor or if they're okay with all professionals.
Awesome. Sweet. All right. So, but yeah, before we end today's session, I would just like to thank our presenter, Lori, for sharing their time and expertise with us today. I'd also like to thank the participants for, showing out today. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lori, but I think this is like about double what we had last week.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so nice showing, nice showing. Um, but yeah, I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and you're free to leave. Um, you're also free to ask questions too. But have a good one.